In a small village by the edge of the jungle, there was a parrot unlike any other. His name was Piko, and he wasn't just any parrot with a colorful plumage and the ability to mimic human speech. No, Piko had a secret, one that the villagers had come to realize only after years of watching him move. Piko practiced karate. It all began when the villagers first noticed him. At first, he was just another parrot, squawking loudly from his perch in the tree, mimicking the sounds of the village, cows mooing, children laughing, the sound of the blacksmith hammering his anvil. But one evening, as the sun began to set and the villagers gathered around the well, a strange sight caught their attention. Piko, perched on a low branch, began to flap his wings furiously, but not in the chaotic, haphazard way parrots normally did. No, Piko's movements were deliberate, precise, and filled with an energy that seemed different. At first, the villagers thought it was a game, a strange display of nature. But then Piko performed a high kick, followed by a sharp spin that landed him perfectly on the branch. The villagers stopped in their tracks, staring, unsure if they had truly seen what they thought they had. Piko turned his head to them, squawked proudly, and flapped his wings again, as though it were nothing unusual. The next day, the villagers couldn't help but gossip about the karate parrot. Some thought it was a fluke, just a funny coincidence, but others began to take notice. Piko was not only repeating the same movements, but he was also getting better at it, executing high kicks, backflips, and even some basic kata that made him appear more like a martial artist than a bird. At first, it was amusing. The children would laugh and try to imitate him, but as the weeks went on, Piko's movements grew sharper, more fluid, and somehow purposeful. One day, a wandering traveler passed through the village. He had heard stories of the parrot, of the bird that practiced karate. Skeptical, the traveler approached the villagers and asked, "Is it true that there's a parrot here who practices martial arts?" The villagers chuckled and nodded. "You've come to the right place," one of them said, pointing toward the large tree where Piko often trained. "He's more than just a parrot. He's a karate master." The traveler, now intrigued, walked toward the tree, expecting nothing more than a curious show. But when Piko saw him, something changed in the bird's demeanor. The playful energy shifted, and the parrot hopped down from his branch with the grace of a warrior preparing for battle. He stood tall, eyes sharp, and gave the traveler a challenge. Without saying a word, Piko bowed low in the way a true martial artist would, inviting the traveler to engage. The traveler, taken aback, couldn't help but laugh. "You want me to fight you? A parrot?" he asked, amused. But Piko didn't flinch. He performed a series of precise moves, each one faster and more controlled than the last. The traveler stood there, stunned, as Piko began executing swift jabs, kicks, and blocks, his wings moving like a human martial artist's arms. The traveler, no longer laughing, raised his hands, trying to block an imaginary blow from Piko. But Piko was too fast. With a swift maneuver, the parrot spun, landed behind him, and tapped him lightly on the shoulder. The traveler was speechless. He had never seen anything like it. Piko, the karate parrot, had just beaten him, all without a single word or gesture of aggression. The village quickly became known far and wide, not just for its beautiful surroundings, but for its karate parrot. People traveled from distant towns and villages to see the bird perform his amazing feats. Some came to watch, others to challenge him, but all left with the same sense of wonder. They came to see the parrot, but what they truly left with was the lesson that Piko imparted without ever saying a word. The parrot taught them that true strength wasn't in size or appearance, but in the heart and determination to be the best version of oneself. As the years passed, Piko's fame grew. He became somewhat of a legend, and soon, martial artists from all over the world sought to train with him. They wanted to learn from the bird who, with his small body and colorful feathers, could execute moves that few human martial artists could match. And Piko, ever humble, welcomed them all. He would bow to them, demonstrate a perfect roundhouse kick, or break a small board with his beak, all while his wings moved in ways that mimicked the ancient movements of karate masters. But Piko's heart was always with the village. He trained not for fame, but for the joy of perfecting his craft. He taught the children of the village, showing them the fundamentals of discipline, respect, and balance. In the mornings, the children would gather around the tree where Piko practiced, watching him closely as he executed his moves. They would mimic him, laughing and stumbling at first, But with each day, they grew stronger, their movements more precise, and their hearts more determined. One summer, a group of bandits passed through the village. They were known for terrorizing small towns, stealing food, and causing trouble wherever they went. When they arrived in the village, they found it unusually quiet, the villagers going about their work, seemingly unaware of the threat. The bandits, seeing this as an opportunity, began to ransack the village, stealing what they could and threatening the villagers. But Piko wasn't about to let that happen. From his perch in the tree, he saw the commotion below. With a flurry of movement, Piko launched himself into action. The bandits were too busy to notice the small, colorful bird descending from the tree, but when Piko landed in front of them, his stance was clear. He bowed low, just as he always did before a fight, his wings poised like hands about to deliver the first strike. The bandits, laughing at the sight of the tiny parrot, stepped forward, not understanding the danger they were in. But Piko moved with lightning speed. His wings became a blur as he ducked, weaved, and struck. With each kick, he knocked a bandit off balance. With each flap, he blocked their clumsy punches. The bandits, caught off guard by the ferocity of the little parrot, found themselves stumbling and falling, unable to keep up with Piko's fluid, martial arts-inspired moves.